My name is Dr. Joe Dusseldorp, and I'm a specialist plastic and reconstructive surgeon, and also CEO and founder of Synchronicity, a medical device design company that seeks to reimagine the way we live with disability. I want you to start by thinking about a simple question. When someone asks you to send you a text message, it's something we do without thinking. We take it for granted. The flurry of thumb motions that makes the perfect text message and sent off without a moment's thought. Some of us may do this hundreds of times a day. But what is it that enables us to do such a simple task so efficiently and so effectively? And what happens if that pathway of electrical signals from our brain to our flurrying thumbs breaks down? Cerebral palsy is the most common disability in children, affecting the arms and the limbs, affecting our ability to live independently, to move our thumbs in the way we might like, to control wheelchairs, to look at feeding ourselves and cleaning ourselves with dignity. It affects 17 million people worldwide, and still 1 in 500 babies is diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Of those diagnosed, 1 in 3 will never walk. And that's because the tight muscles that affect not just the arms, but also the legs, limit the ability to move freely and to enjoy the use of our muscles like all of us take for granted in our daily lives. Beyond that, it's extremely expensive to treat someone living with cerebral palsy, estimated in 2003 US dollars to be around $1 million per patient of a lifetime cost. And unfortunately, those treatments don't work at relieving spasticity or improving independence. The problem that we seek to fix is that millions of people living with spasticity want relief from the pain and difficulty of contracted limbs by gaining meaningful control over their muscle tone without major surgery or repeated painful injections. Sadly, the most common treatment at the moment is either severing those nerves that are overactive or using neurotoxins like Botox. Neither of these treatments actually turns the impulses off that are causing the problem in a way that enables you to then turn it back on again. And the painful injections may take 2 weeks to come into effect, last about 12 weeks, and then wear off completely. So our challenge is to come up with a solution that enables this. What if we could just inject something tiny once under the skin next to the nerve, send signals to it to block spasticity, and turn it up and down much like a dimmer switch? We want every kid living with spasticity to have the opportunity to have personalized, real-time control of their muscle tone, preventing painful chronic symptoms from setting in. And our solution looks like this: tiny grain of rice-sized electrodes that are non-wired, implanted via a non-clinician injector, sit underneath the skin and receive signals from a control mechanism which is implanted in a smart textile and controlled by a smartphone application which is at their own disposal. Not only is this solution extremely effective, but it could also be extremely cost effective. Botox injections themselves have been shown to cost around $4,500 per year for life and are only effective for 50 to 70% of the time between injections. So invasive surgeries are very expensive, and we've shown through a cost-effectiveness analysis that if implanted from the age of 5, our device would save around $100,000 compared to no treatment and give additional years of quality-adjusted life years, around 4 years. Not to mention that the implants themselves would be much cheaper to produce than many other implanted pulse generators, such as cochlear implants or spinal cord stimulators, being much more simple in their device design. Furthermore, our team can do this. We have experienced industry partners such as John Paul McEwen, our CTO. We have academic partners in Professor Alistair McEwen from the University of Sydney, who is also the Ainsworth Chair of Technology and Innovation at the Cerebral Palsy Alliance, and Professor James Fallon, who is a consultant from Bionica, the commercialization arm of the Bionics Institute and the University of Melbourne. And we have currently designed with James an electrode that can achieve this outcome. We have numerous partners, collaborators and funders, including New South Wales Health through the commercialization training program, the SCADA Innovations, who facilitated that training, and the Cerebral Palsy Alliance, who really are our pipeline into the patients who will most benefit from this treatment. In developing the device, we have had support from Flinders University and the Medical Device Partnering Program in South Australia and Bionica in Victoria, who have both awarded us with grants and additional engineering support to facilitate development of our prototype. We have won the big idea in 2022 through Sydney Local Health District and New South Wales Health, University of Sydney, which has enabled us to characterise our unmet patient need and get us to the medical device prototyping stage. And we are targeting partnerships with existing players in the future to leverage existing sales infrastructure, such as big medical device companies. And we will first achieve regulatory approval as a Class 3 active implantable device and go through pre-market authorization in the US as our regulatory plan. And we have consulted with regulatory advisors and also IP attorneys to perform our landscape search. In terms of a market size, there are 17 million people worldwide living with cerebral palsy. The total addressable market of those would be 14 million. In Australia, we are looking at a much smaller, serviceable, attainable market of young people living in Australia, which we could directly target. And we know that these patients are already linked in with the Cerebral Palsy Alliance. But furthermore than that, the World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 7 people in the world live with some form of disability. That is 15% or 1 billion people on the planet. It's not just cerebral palsy that would benefit from such a device. We have other motor conditions such as stroke, prosthetic limb function and facial palsy, to name a few, as well as sensory conditions such as chronic pain that could benefit from this treatment. We have a timeline that is extending into 2023 for product development and then culminating in clinical trials in 2025. We have other key milestones, including our ISO 13485 accreditation that we are moving towards by the end of next year, and we'll be filing our IP protection strategy towards the end of 2023 as well. If successful, we would aim to put the $30,000 National Bionics Prize to proposed animal experiments and also completing our landscape search and IP plan, which those two steps would get us to being hopefully successful for CTCM or MDF funding to the tune of $500 to $1.5 million, which would really get us to the point of having a usable and effective prototype, which we could take to our clinical trial testing phase. And thank you for your time.